my god. Hi. Hello everybody. Thank you for coming. I didn't know there was going to be this much people, but yeah, thank you for coming. I'm going to be your first speaker today, so I'd like to start off with a TEDx classic. Might be a little cheesy, but bear with me. So, I'd like you to raise your hands at 2 questions. Raise your left hand if you're one day applying to college or planning to go to college. Cheatin'! I think you can make it. Anyone else?
Cindy, can I make it?
No. Now raise your other hand if you know what you're passionate about. You should have 1 or 2 hands raised. Don't put the other one down. Now I see that a lot of people have 2 hands raised, and that's good for you. But I'd say that if I were sitting in the audience, I would only have 1. And that was problematic because I thought that if I was applying to college without a passion, that I'd fail. It didn't work. Because although there are many things that colleges would want from you, there's one thing that everyone would want you to say. Passion. Now, the buzzword of passion, it isn't just stated outright. It's phrased in some prompts, like an interest or talent so meaningful, you believe your application would be incomplete without it. Maybe a topic, idea, concept so engaging it makes you lose all track of time. But the buzzword of passion is always there in those prompts. And so dramatic that some might even call it the focus of adulthood or the goal of adolescence. But if that's the goal of adolescence, I don't think I've ever achieved it, because I never had something that felt distinctly like this, or like this, or maybe even like this. Because for me, ever since the start of high school, I knew that passion was a word that I had to define for somebody else. It's not that I was good at anything, it's that I probably wasn't the best. It's not that I didn't like anything, it's that I probably didn't like it or love it more than anyone else. Just the label of passion had that power. And I didn't know how to put it on anything. But do I have to? Well, let's take a look at those prompts again. I want you to notice the singularity in the phrasing. A background, identity, interest, or talent. A topic, idea, or concept. It's the way colleges ask for passion, it asks you to choose one. That makes sense. Because college admissions officers, they don't have all day. They need you to pick one. They need to know what is your top most interest. But when it comes to life, you don't need that kind of limit. Passion is pressuring in college applications because it implies singularity. It doesn't ask for multiplicity. It's specialty over multiplication. Well, what does this word mean? Well, according to Emily Wapnick, who in her 2015 talk basically coined this term, a multi-potentialite is basically very simple. People who have many different interests, many different creative pursuits, maybe even many different jobs. And in the past, there were other words for it, like polymaths, Renaissance people, people praised for being good at many different things, and although that praise might not stand as much in the 21st century, especially when it comes to college applications, being a multi-potentialite, it can still grant you many different abilities, superpowers maybe. Idea synthesis, innovation, rapid learning, adaptability, all crucial skills in the 21st century still. With the key letter being the letter S. Let's look at these prompts again. The phrasing, so meaningful they believe their application will be incomplete, so engaging it makes you lose all track of time. But the only time I lose track of time is when I oversleep. And when that applies to an idea or a concept, that sounded a little bit dramatic to me. It sounded a little bit much because the second reason why passion is pressuring is because it's strong, it's particular, and it's implied to be innate. And that's why it's so hard to choose one thing to slap that powerful label on. But here's one of my candidates. At the start of 9th grade, my friend Corey Fan texted me, as he often does. He says, "Hi guys, Daisy has asked me to ask y'all to join LOCKUP, Law Association in Crimes Across History." And I was like, "What's that?" Well, he said it's basically like legal debate, war criminal stuff this time, very specific. And he called this whole event mock trial. Now the group that he sent this text in, we had a couple hesitations about this. We had a lot of reluctance, and actually, I was part of that reluctance. But, as with many difficult things, took a little time, we eventually signed up. Of course, we had to procrastinate a little bit first, but in the end, we started preparing because it was 3 weeks left, and then we went inside the competition. We participated, we competed, and this was us at the end. We won absolutely nothing. Now, if I was looking for passion at that time, I'd be discouraged, because I got no indication that I was good at it. I got no indication that I loved it. So if I was looking, that would have been so discouraging, because I didn't find anything. Do you see anything? No, I don't either. The thing is, I wasn't looking that hard then. In fact, I wasn't really doing anything. All I knew was that I just got introduced to this activity that I didn't know about a few months before. It felt a little bit weird to leave it behind. So I asked one of the organizers, "Are there any other tournaments I can do?" He said, "Yes, of course. There is one with a case file that is pretty much the same length as LACA, not too hard, just add one to it." At the start. And I said, "Wow, I'm a terrible reader. I can't do this." So I promptly backed off, and my mock trial journey could have easily ended right there. But then 10 months later, I found another tournament. I was introduced to it, I was interested in it, I signed up, procrastinated, prepared, participated. And this time, we got carried by the skills of our coaches to second place. Now that was too close to stop, so then I took some of my teammates from that team, made another team, procrastinated, prepared, competed. We got first place. Now fresh off of that win, I can't stop there. We found another tournament. We procrastinated, prepared, and then competed. And the case file length of that tournament was the 130 pages that scared me away just a little bit over a year ago. Now, two years, 8 tournaments, a couple close finishes later, we now have a mock trial club with some of my friends at SDS. So the question is, how did we go from there to here? Well, some real SD entrepreneurs, they came up with this model that I think kind of explains what I'm feeling. They say that when you have a passion or maybe an interest, it starts with that interest first. Once you have that interest, it turns into disproportionate time spent practicing. After that, it turns into skill. Skill turns into better results. Better results, more interest. So let's take a look at that model again. I had an interest for, say, another competition after the competition that I got second place. And due to our time spent practicing, being coached for that one, we got better. We got more skill, we got better results, we ended up winning that tournament. Because this showed to me that passion, my passion, so to speak, for mock trial, it wasn't found or discovered or labeled. It was something that was grown, nurtured, developed in its own chain reaction. But my passion or chain reaction for mock trial, it wasn't just that. It was much bigger. It started much earlier. It was a 5th grade storytelling competition where I accidentally got first place. It was a 6th grade class presentation I wanted to do really well on. It was Innovation Institute, shout out. 8 exhibitions. I got used to public speaking. And then it was community meetings led for the CAC. All of that. It was speaking in various places, various times, for various things, speaking until the shaking in my voice started to disappear. But does that mean I was passionate about public speaking? Well, to answer this question, I'm going to leave you with an anecdote. So one of my co-execs of Mock Trial currently, I introduced her to Mock Trial and she said, well, I find it very fun and all, but sometimes I wonder why I actually started pursuing it. And she said that maybe it was because when I talked to her about it, my voice, with the way I talked about it, was so engrossed in the topic that she found it to be contagious. Because she'd seen me as a passionate person before I saw it in that way myself. Because the thing with passion possibly being a chain reaction is that you don't have to know that it's there or know that it is growing for it to be there. So let your life happen. Passion will follow. Thank you.